she was diagnosed with breast cancer, did not know for sure she was going to have a mastectomy, ended up having the mastectomy. She was a professional woman here in town. And so she says to her doctor, okay, I want to go to work tomorrow. What do I do? You know, where's my breast prosthesis? And he's like, you cannot wear one against your skin because it's so raw. And he handed her a pattern. It was called Tatas at the time. Barb contacted that store, which had closed, and that woman gave her license to run with it. And now 13,000 are handed out every month. And those are only the ones we know about. Those aren't the women knitting for their friend or their sister.
Wow.
I'm a proud board member. The store is a proud sponsor, and it's all here in Bellingham.
I think I touched the mic. Well, Andrea, welcome to the studio. And
thank you.
This
is so exciting.
This is it.
I love it.
This is it. This is the gauntlet right here. No, I'm just kidding. But welcome to, this is episode 2 of season 6.
Oh my gosh.
We've been doing this for a little while now.
So 2 of season. Okay, guys.
So 42 episodes, something like that. That's my public math, and public math is dangerous, as we've all.
It's a little bit harder than knitter's math.
It is.
Yes.
What is knitter's math?
Knit 2, purl 2, do gauge swatch. I don't know who else is all knitters here, but there's knitter's math.
Okay. Well, that could be something that we could, that could be on par with public math. Something similar to it.
It's a little bit easier and more fun.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
You've been in business with Apple Yarns for 17 years.
17 years. We just celebrated.
So I want to start with what happened before that. Like, where did this thing come from? And like, have you been knitting all your life? Have you been crocheting all your life?
I have done retail almost all my life. My family owned a lumber hardware store, so I was a little kid that walked through that store and it was a local small business, and I just knew that community really well. So as our kids were growing up in school here in Bellingham, our youngest daughter was busy till 4 p.m. and I'm like, I got to be doing more. I was doing my husband's marketing, and I mean, he's a great guy, but that got a little not so much fun anymore. And I came home one day and I'm like, you know, Andrew, we could open a nice yarn shop, a friendly yarn shop on the east side of the freeway, because we've got some good yarn shops on the west side of the freeway. And it was just a bunch of little yeses, and we built Apple Yarns from that.
That's beautiful. I mean, so yeses are good, but tell me a little bit more about these moments of, is this a good idea? Because a lot of business owners that I've talked to have stated that, well, ignorance is bliss sometimes, but also passion is really important in creating a business.
So my passion is definitely small retail. I love to knit. I still knit as my relaxation. You know, about 9 o'clock at night, the knitting comes out, glass of wine knitting. Sorry about the whiskey, maybe I'll change. But that's how I relax. So I still knit to relax, but my true passion is small business and local small retail. I just love it.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite parts about at least the environment that you've created?
Community. Like today we had a customer, I haven't seen her in a couple years, and I know she was, you know, not feeling as well, getting a little bit older, but her daughter had been in the shop a few months before, and I'm like, get your mom back in here. And so she got her mom back in here, and we, you know, she's going to knit a Christmas stocking now type of thing. So community.
Yeah.
Seeing the people, being part of, life challenges, but also the exciting things that happen in life, you know, weddings and kids and who's going off to what college and colors that you might knit or crochet. And I mean, that's all fun.
Yeah.
That's just great fun.
Just open creativity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it all started with this huge business, right?
No.
Now, let's take it back to the beginning. And, you know, you had these conversations with your husband. You had said, hey, this is what we should do. Tell me about step one. What was step one?
Step one was, this is going to be whether you relate to it or not. Step one was knowing shopping habits of women. We live in the Silver Beach neighborhood, and that Hagen's on Barkley is my Hagen's. And knowing that women would hide their shopping time in a yarn store when their family thinks they're grocery shopping. Because I did that with plants.
Oh.
And so I knew that, I just knew it. And so our first store was 700 square feet next to Little Tokyo.
Okay.
And we lasted there 3 months, and then a spot opened up next to Starbucks. And we were next to Starbucks for 5 years, then on Iowa Street for 10. People really questioned that move because we were in the middle of all these car dealerships. But I also knew living in Silver Beach that Iowa had become a main thoroughfare. And so we were there for 10 years, and we've just made the move over to Haskell Business Park, where we now have a warehouse for our online and our subscription transaction sales. So we have our brick and mortar because we love our community. We'll never give up our brick and mortar, but it is essential we have other fingers or elements of our business.
So you have that community hub, you have the place where you can do the live streaming, where you can have your community physically there.
Yep.
But then naturally, because you're creating this amazing product or these products and growing that way, you're like, well, what was that like to then go, oh gosh, we need a warehouse?
Really fun, actually.
Yeah.
I love my warehouse. I love it. There's space. My office is back there. We have a shipping department. We have 17 years of pumpkins and Christmas decorations that we've collected. We have Knitted Knockers, which is a nonprofit that we support. We have, yes, I saw that. I brought some. We have Knitted Knockers information. We have just stepped up with Blue Sky. And so Blue Sky stores some coats and sweaters. And so we're really proud to be able to do that. That's really, really important to us. And on a side note, I'll just say the day I saw Apple Yarn's name next to Bombas socks on a blue sky, blue top, I've got chills still. I'm like, oh, we made it. That's so cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so we like being able to give back. That's super important.
Yeah, well, the social good element is, it seems almost like it should be implemented in every business. You know, whether it's a combination of awareness and then also when we do well, why can't we help someone else do well, right? It's like a part of your bottom line, essentially. Yeah,
so we like hand dye. We've got 7 different nonprofits right now that we're pretty engaged with. And so we hand dye a yarn in their yarn colors, and then we give, for that month that we've selected them, we give $5 back for every skein sold, we give $5 back to the nonprofit.
And what'd you call it? Skein?
Skein.
Okay, can you
Want to see a skein?
I do want to see a skein. I'm scared. No, I'm just kidding.
Skeins are you?
My mom would be sitting there going, how do you not know what this is? Okay, see, I know this, but I didn't know that's what it was called.
Yeah, skein.
Well, for all of you out there that listen to this.
And then we wind it for you, too, as part of customer service.
That's beautiful yarn.
And that is hand dyed here in Bellingham. That's our line of yarn that we sell. Sure, and it's soft.
Wow, this is nice.
Thank you.
So let me ask you this. I want to take a quick side note, and then I want to jump back into like the progression of the story.
Sure.
So it's so interesting to me because there's so much synthetic, processed, whatever material out there, and I was told not to use the word acrylic, but I'm going to say it anyways. But tell me a little bit more about like why it's so important for you to be using natural products and like hand dyeing, and tell me more about that.
So I love this question because it literally just kind of changed a month ago, what I would respond to it. Natural fibers, because they're fabulous. I mean, wool whisks moisture away from the skin. It keeps you cool. It keeps you warm. It's just magic. And there's lots of different wools. There's lots of different sheep. And so you can get super, super soft like a merino, or you can get some like the Icelandic wools that are crunchy. I love them, but not everyone's going to love them.
Crunchy?
Well, I don't like to say the word scratchy, so I use crunchy.
Oh, scratchy, I got you. Yeah. And merino's really soft and light.
Merino's really soft.
I had some merino shoes, actually.
Socks, maybe?
No, they were like, it was the Allbirds merino wool.
Yeah.
And I was like,
oh, no, those are great shoes. My husband wears those.
I'm going to sweat my feet off.
No way.
And they were so cool.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is wool?
My husband wears wool socks almost hand knit wool socks, of course.
Yeah,
but
I hope so. He better.
He does.
Better not be.
My mom makes them for him. He's sock worthy.
Good.
She knits all his socks.
That's an honor.
It is, because I don't do it. My mom does.
Why does my mother-in-law not make me socks?
We'll get her a pattern.
We'll get her.
Don't worry. We'll get her set up.
So yeah, tell me a little bit more. You're kind of jumping into the importance of having wool.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay, so what I want to say, though, is all this stuff right now about the acrylics and plastics in the world, honestly, I hadn't thought about this. A customer just brought it to my attention. It used to be when people would come in and we're getting stuff for babies, I'd want them in wool, because I just don't understand anyone who doesn't love wool. That was probably too strong of a statement, sorry. I love natural fiber. I love natural fibers. But there is a place for acrylic. So we would always kind of show them these like acrylic blends, because then the wool's doing its job and the acrylic's doing this job. All of a sudden, the trend is no acrylic yarns for babies because they don't want plastic around their babies. I just learned that last month. I had no idea.
Whoops, too late. I've got a 2-year-old that probably a little acrylic in her life. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, things change. And so in our 17 years, we've seen the same things. Things just change. New rules come about and stuff. And anyone in business, you just have to be able to adapt. I mean, we've been thrown COVID. We've been thrown so many things. And we just have to continue to adapt, whether it's fibers or wanting a warehouse because you want your online sales to grow.
Right.
We just adapt.
Yeah. You mentioned COVID.
Yeah.
That's when the live streaming started?
Yep.
Yeah. What was that like? Were you live streaming your whole life up until that point, and then you said, oh, this is easy, I'm going to jump in?
No, I had to sell yarn, in all honesty. We wanted to pay our team members all the way through COVID, even though they couldn't be in the store. That was a really important factor for us. And that was the only way we could do it. We had to sell yarn. That's it. That's our job, is to sell yarn and inspire.
What was your first live stream like? Was it clunky, or did you just jump on and you'd mention authenticity and like just being yourself?
Yeah,
and what was that like?
It's just me.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't take it all too seriously. It's retail.
Yeah.
There's a lot of way smarter people out there. I just happen to really like what I do.
Yeah.
And so it's easy to talk about that. It's easy to talk about color. It's easy. Like, I don't teach. I know how to knit. I like to knit. But I prefer being like the cheerleader behind Apple Yarns. And part of that requires me getting on Facebook Lives twice a week just to talk to people about yarn.
Mm-hmm. Well, as a leader, how does that, I mean, this is your baby, and at some point you need help. And then let's talk a little bit about that. Like, how do you go, ooh, was it just like second nature? Oh, I'm just not good at this thing. I'm not super passionate about this part of it. And I found this person that's fantastic. What was that like?
Easy.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I can't then do the stuff that I'm good at or that I really like. You mentioned subscriptions.
Yeah.
So we have a Christmas movie box that ships out tomorrow. So that it arrives on people's at home the day countdown to Christmas arrives.
Right.
So if I don't have the time to think about all of that stuff, fun stuff, then I just can't do it all. And we have the best team at Apple Yarns. Our team members stay a really, really long time. We just had, I'll say Claudia, because anyone who shops regularly at Apple Yarns knew who Claudia was, because she's the smartest knitter and crocheter out there. She just retired after 16 years.
Yeah.
And then the minute Jess came in, she used to work at Village Books. So I grabbed her, of course, because Village Books is about the best retailer in town.
Yeah.
So I grabbed her. So, I mean, we just have an incredible team that luckily stays with us.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of people that listen to this show that are either an employer or an employee. Tell me a little bit more about that. Like that, how do you pass that along? How do you empower people to, I know that when people feel empowered and they're passionate and they feel like they're taken care of and they feel like there's evolution and growth, that they want to stay, right? But how do you empower people? You just say, hey, look, you're really good at this.
So my husband works at Apple Yarns too. So we're really Apple Yarns
working
was
for you?
founded.
You have him working for you?
No way. You gotta have two defined roles in what you do. But what I'm always telling Andrew is that you're surrounded by a bunch of smart women.
Yeah.
We don't need to be mansplained, and he's not that kind of guy. But I'm just saying, they're all smart women who work at Apple Yarns. I mean, Christiane is on the newer side, but I mean, she's amazing. So she's my, okay, Andrea, because we do learning online now too. And so, she does my 1, 2, 3 live. I mean, I need that kind of help.
Yeah, the countdown.
Yeah, the countdown's really important. I was impressed because I know how important the countdown is.
It's 1, 2, 3, buffering, glitching. Okay, we're good. Yeah, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the components, like the different streams of revenue in your business, because it's expanded from just retail to subscription boxes and all sorts of other elements. Can you run us through a little bit of the different avenues?
So we started as just brick and mortar, and we had a website, I would say, for a long time, and it was always just kind of there. I just absolutely remember when we're like, 7 days in a row we've gotten one order.
Yeah.
I mean, we were I'd keep a little graph on my desk, we were so excited. We're beyond that now. But, so that's one. And that had to step up with COVID type of thing. And then, if you're a retail weenie like I am, you learn that subscriptions and they've been around forever. Netflix is a subscription, BarkBox, all of those. And so, through just learning, because I love to learn, learned about subscriptions. And now we have 3 subscriptions. And then we have our theme boxes. Those are really fun. That's the Christmas movie box, and we do a Valentine and stuff like that. And I feel like there should be another one, but those are the main ones.
Those are the main streams.
Yeah.
What are the pain points of each one of those? Like, what are the best parts of them, and what are the pain points?
The store is the community. That's the fun. I
Yeah.
mean, that's really, we would never give up our brick and mortar. It's just the store is light and airy and colorful. And today, because we're in our switch of our seasons, we're going into our bigger seasons. I had 3 customers come in today, and I'm trying to work. I'm just trying to get stuff done, and I'm on my computer and like, hey, is Andrea there? And so, I go out to the store each time. So the store is really great, but we've also have that community online now. Kathy H, she called today asking about her subscription because I had mentioned something about acrylic in one of the lives. And when I hung up, Jess goes, oh, she just wanted to chat. I'm like, yeah, a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little. And then I would say the creativity behind the theme boxes is really fun. Pairing up merchandise, fun and hard all at the same time. Shipping is so screwed up right now. It's not our shipping, but
once it gets out there in the ether, yeah, totally.
With hurricanes and a strike, that's a struggle right now, but we get through it.
And the distribution now is all domestic, countrywide, or is it all over the world now?
No, it's just domestic.
Okay.
I would love to grow into Canada more, but lots of in-person Canada.
Well, if anyone from Canada that has any distribution connections is listening, we will reach out. Yeah, we have a connection to be made here.
Okay.
So what was that like to go from the week where you said, oh yeah, we got one today, and the next day, one today, to like, what does that ramp up look like from, like, how did you get? Yeah.
Probably much slower than it should have been. Probably one of those is, boy, we should have reached out to experts sooner and stuff like that. Trying to figure out the shipping, it was slow. I wouldn't say we were the sharp penny or the quick, whatever. We weren't that group. We just built it.
We have that in common. Yeah.
So, we just did slow. I mean, we have I have great perseverance. And so that kind of goes to the rest of the team. We just don't give up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the hockey stick, because I think there was, from what I understand, there was a point where you had set your goals for, I don't remember which year this was, but you had set your goals for a specific year, your KPIs, and then you had said, whoa, I think we hit most of our goals. Was it for that month or was it for that year?
I do goals every week.
Wow.
So Andrea is different now than when we opened the business. When we opened Apple Yarns, definitely about community and supplying the right, the colors and the textures and yarns from around the world. Those were things I used to talk about. I'm a numbers geek now.
Yeah.
I love numbers.
So but you weren't like that before.
No, I had to learn that. And that was probably during COVID, having a little extra time. No, I'm a numbers geek. I write my numbers I know my AOVs, I know my sessions, I know my online, and I compare 3 years every week.
That's incredible.
I like it.
That's really impressive.
Numbers don't lie.
They don't.
And when you're with your husband and you're working, you need numbers to tell you the truth between what the two of us are saying.
Right.
No, numbers are our truth.
So I guess the point that I'm getting to is we all have this creative side of our brain, and we all have the business side of our brain, or the number side, or most people do, and there's all kind of different ratios, right? Well, sometimes the creative side of the brain can inhibit the business side of the brain because there's too much focus on relationships and community. It's a weird thing to go to because we're so relationship and community focused ourselves. And sometimes the business brain can completely squash that creative side. So how do you balance that? How do you find an equilibrium with those two worlds?
How do I find an equilibrium between those two worlds? I don't know. I just do it. I was lucky enough to grow up in a family-run retail store. It's literally in my blood. Yeah. I just do it. I try not to make things too difficult. So, I would again say we have the best team at Apple Yarn. We have the best team at Apple Yarns, and everyone has their strengths, and we try and focus on that. And they need to rein me in. Like, I am definitely the creative person who I get very, very excited about things, but someone else has to call and get the box order in this sort, because I can't do those details. So when you're lucky enough to have a team that stays with you, we each learn each other well enough, and they would tell you, oh no, we get this done and we get this done. And so Andrea can go spinning around thinking of all these fun things that I like to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it can be as simple as that. I've also just seen people that have completely squashed their creativity, and some people that have arguably maybe too much creativity. You know what I mean?
I just think in business and small business is that If you don't have the numbers though, and I mean, I still struggle to get the numbers. I mean, I look at the numbers, but and then you look at analytics and Facebook and social media and blah, 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 and something's changed because something else has changed. If you don't know that stuff, you cannot grow. I was lucky enough to do Goldman Sachs small business. I forget what it was called, but it was a pretty big, 10K SV. Yes, I did that. And that was eye-opening.
Yeah.
That was eye-opening.
What were some of the most important things that you didn't know before that you took away from that?
Well, how important certain things are. And they start the whole thing with what's your exit plan. And I mean, 17 years ago, I knew that we were just starting a business. I mean, my husband had a different business going on. And so I never thought of Apple Yarns as being our main way we pay our mortgage and stuff. And now it is. We both work at Apple Yarns. And so I never thought of an exit plan. And as I get closer to maybe never retiring, my exit plan is actually really good. I have 3 kids who live in 3 cool areas. Luckily, they love Bellingham. My exit plan is to be able to visit them whenever I want to. So that means I have to have a really good team around me. And that's my exit plan. So that's number one thing, is you got to know enough about where you're going and how you want to exit it, which kind of sounds different. Should you be focusing on that so much? But to be able to realize I was in control of how we would exit was kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And then I just have to keep it alive until then.
Does it sometimes feel like, even with that long-term goal, that sometimes you kind of veer off course from it? Does it feel like the day-to-day or the week-to-week goals?
Nope.
No.
I'm pretty,
you just keep it.
I'm never going to be able to retire early. I'm never going to be able to do some things that other people can do, and yet I can do other things people can't do. No, what's important to me. I'm very strong on that.
Good. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit more about like when somebody walks in your shop.
Hello.
Hello. Okay. Step 1. Hello.
Hello.
That's important. Is acknowledge people.
Yeah.
But what is your? I know you. It's bright. It's cheerful. It's welcoming. What is this like in your mind? If you're a customer walking into your own store, what is the experience that you want them to have?
Hello. A big smile. I mean, hello sums up so many things for us. And actually, my husband thought it was kind of a silly idea when I was telling him that originally. And then we go to IKEA. And what do they have outside of there? Hello in Norwegian.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'm sticking to hello.
Yeah.
I really want you to feel warm and welcome, and that you can ask a question, or you need help, or inspiring. It should be a safe place. And I am very proud to say I have a number of customers who we are their safe space. When the day is shitty, they come in. They know they're going to be surrounded by pretty colors and really nice people. That's a really nice feeling.
That is a nice feeling.
Yeah.
And who, like, when you were building this, I know that there was there was probably the most likely demographics, right? But who have you seen as your target demographic? You?
Yeah, I'm a target.
Yeah.
I'm 59 years old. I like to knit. I like color. I like art. I like supporting local. I like community, because now we support local, but we also have an online community, and that's really important. So I like that.
Yeah.
I'm our demographic.
Awesome. Yeah. And like for you, when you're, branching out with these different avenues, and you're going, okay, I've got this thing down here where, like, the safe space here, this great place for warm and welcoming hello when people walk in. How do you translate that, like that pivot point when you're like, oh, I'm going to get on live stream and I'm going to start doing subscription boxes and all these? How do you create that without having met somebody in person?
I'm giggling because the first thing I do is, mark the lower box in Facebook algorithms that I want to reach. That's the first thing I do.
Step 1.
Step 1. No, show my graph and go a little younger. So that's the first thing I do. So our team, again, is really, really good. And I rely a lot on them. Let them pick out the patterns to be in the store and stuff like that. Because they're actually on Ravelry. Knitters and crocheters will know all that. They're on Ravelry all the time, finding out that's not as important to me. I like to knit because I like to knit. I don't need to knit the most popular designer out there. I like to knit. I like the process.
Yeah. So now that you've grown and scaled, and there's this whole other element to your business, do you find yourself starting to have different problems and starting to kind of break into this world where you're competing against these bigger retailers? And like, what is that experience like?
So I think it's unique in the craft industry is because, and COVID took care of a lot of this, is so many of these stores that are similar to us are hobby stores. And our business does need to pay. It pays 1, 2, 3, pays 4 mortgages.
Mhm.
Not mine. I don't have 4 houses. My team members. So we are a business. We are not just a hobby. And so I forget the question, but I knew that was my answer.
Yeah, you're on the right track. Just keep going.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's really, really important. And so then you get compared to hobbyist stores compared to really big stores. And we're not here and we are not there. We're getting ready to do a brand new website. And that's one of the things I have to explain first is this is who my industry is. It is made up of hobbyists. It is made up of people who their stores aren't profitable. Well, that can't be us,
Mhm.
you know, so we're not here, but we're way not here either.
Yeah.
So, you know, with a new website, it's all about user experience. How do we get across hello on the website?
Yeah, well, that's amazing. It's so cool to create your own like little niche. And I was so curious about this coming into it because it, you know, there's an element of each world, right? But
Yeah.
it's not like at this scale, and it's not, you know, at this scale either. So yeah, and it's so interesting. So if your business is your main customer are hobbyists, right?
Mhm.
I was kind of, you know, we were talking through kind of the math of like thinking about when my mom goes and buys wool. She buys all wool locally in Seattle, which we're gonna get her changed over, but to a box. But no, the whole point is you start to like go through the calculations of if someone's selling, like they're making hats or they're making socks or whatever they're making, or sweaters. You start to calculate what it costs, and then you go, well, these have to be gifts or things that they're making for themselves. Like, is that something that you like? Is it all hobbyists, or are there some retailers, or are there like? Tell me a little bit more about.
So we have a very small wholesale collection, and we keep it that way on purpose because our emphasis needs to be apple yarns. But if you're talking about like who comes into the store and do they resell their products, the best way for me to say it is I was at Bell Square and I walked by Ellen Tracy and there was this beautiful scarf and it was $500. And I look, it's just the knit stitch, but it's all cashmere. And I'm like, well, I can knit it for $100 because my yarn is going to cost me $100. It's not inexpensive yarn. So I can knit it for $100. I saved $400, but I can't knit an acrylic sweater to compare, like a baby acrylic sweater to compare to like a Target acrylic sweater. That I can't save money in and resell. I personally don't resell. I don't have time, but I could take a high-end designer item and make it for myself and do it for way less.
That's beautiful. That's really cool. That's what I was just kind of noodling on was how does that? You very well
She was
that.
just in today. She'll be at all your local craft shows. She's awesome. She just was in and ordering a bunch of yarn, but she uses a really nice yarn for her hats, and she charges for her time. And people are going to say, "Oh, you can't do that at you can't do that at the the craft shows, the holiday craft shows." Well, you can't do it if you're just doing acrylic. But if you're doing a really nice wool and maybe it's got a little alpaca in there or something, you can charge.
Yeah. So what is you mentioned alpaca, you mentioned merino. What are some of your favorite?
Cashmere.
Cashmere?
Yeah.
And is that the most expensive on the scale, or is that?
It's really soft.
Yeah.
It's really, really soft.
What is your favorite thing to make with that?
I like hats.
Yeah.
I like hats. I like giving hats. They're fun. My kids are like, "Mom, we don't need any more hats." I'm like, if someone compliments a hat you're wearing, take it off your head and give it to them. That's what I knit. That's my pure joy of knitting.
Yeah. If they look cold, give it to them.
Yeah, give it to them.
I'll make you another one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's really cool, and that's something that resonates really with me because my mom has been doing, like I said, that for ever since she's been in Seattle, and finding people around the city that have this like hat network that she's been like creating.
I love hats and knitted knockers. Yeah. I have to do my plug for my nonprofit.
So let's talk about knitted knockers.
Okay.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about the nonprofit that you work with, what you do, what that collaboration looks like.
So knitted knockers, I would actually hope that you guys know about them.
We do.
They are, do you know how many go out a month?
I don't. Taylor would know though.
Guess.
200.
It's like way higher.
Oh, it's way higher. It's 13,000 a month go out to women in need, absolutely free.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like I have goose pimples, bumps, whatever, just saying that. It's absolutely amazing. And it's all nonprofit. And it was founded by Barb Demarest here in Bellingham. And she was, pre-COVID when we had all these groups that would come into the store, she was just one of our ladies who came in Wednesday afternoons. It was during her lunch break when she was working. And she was diagnosed with breast cancer, did not know for sure she was going to have a mastectomy, ended up having the mastectomy. She was a professional woman here in town. And so she says to her doctor, "Okay, I want to go to work tomorrow. What do I do?" where's my breast prosthesis? And he's like, you cannot wear one against your skin because it's so raw. And he handed her a pattern. It was called Tata's at the time. Barb contacted that store, which had closed, and that woman gave her license to run with it. And now 13,000 are handed out every month. And those are only the ones we know about. Those aren't the women knitting for their friend or their sister.
Wow.
I'm a proud board member. The store is a proud sponsor, and it's all here in Bellingham.
That's
and it
amazing.
Goes out. I know. Isn't it just the best story? It is. And the group of volunteers, it's all volunteers. There's thank you writers. There's letter openers. There's stuffers. There's fixers. Yeah, it's incredible.
So this was a common theme in that world with breast cancer and mastectomies was that like there wasn't a big supply.
Well, we didn't know about it. I mean, as a woman, you're like, here's your heavy, hot breast prosthesis. Put it against your skin, and it's going to cost you money, or you're going to have to get involved with your insurance and stuff.
Probably pretty expensive, I'm assuming.
They can be. I mean, it depends on your insurance,
sure.
but not everyone has insurance, unfortunately. So these are crocheted or knit by volunteers. They come through our mail. We know our mail person quite well. And they arrive unstuffed because the stuffing gets donated. And then volunteers take them, they fix, stuff, and ship. And
13,000 a month?
13,000 a month. And it is all done. So when I say all done locally, it has changed over the years. The postage is about $60,000 a year. And it has remained that actually for several years. And that is because Barb had the great idea of, hey, let's have volunteers adopt medical clinics. And so now what happens is you have volunteers who adopt medical clinics. So a community will knit for an oncology business office, and they will supply it. They still get the orders still run through knittedknockers.org. The paperwork is all done, the instructions and everything. Patterns are handed out, like million downloads of patterns. But that has saved in postage, and that was a really good move.
That's amazing. How many volunteers did you say again were?
I actually don't know that number.
Because I'm just trying to, again.
It's a lot.
I'm thinking 13,000. I'm going, man, there's got to be some cramped hands there.
It is, and that's why we're just always asking. So, for example, and this has only happened a couple times in the last 11 years of Knitted Knockers, is that we sent out a request. Barb on Thursday night, this was about 2 weeks ago, Thursday night, she goes, we're short of knockers for Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Uh-oh.
And so by Friday morning, we had reduced the price of the yarn, because that is one of the best ways we can help volunteers, is we reduce the price of the yarn, and, got on live, got onto my mailing list, and we're just seeing an influx of them come in right now. A person who's knit about 2,000 of these, and we do know several of them, they can do one a night easy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I couldn't even figure out how to do that in like a week.
We could teach you.
There we go. There's a path.
Yep.
So it sounds like, every single year you designate a month to each one of the nonprofits that you work with, but you have an ongoing relationship.
We have an ongoing.
But it sounds like the color themes and all of those. Yeah. Tell me about like why that became important and how you found these organizations.
Great question. Why it became important is because we have to have our online sales in order to survive. Mm-hmm. It's very simple. We have to have online sales. And we realized that sounded like less of our commitment was here in town, and that's just not the case. We've lived here 24 years. We raised our kids here. We love it. Absolutely love it. When we moved to Haskell Business Park, the kids are all, why? And I'm like, well, remember where you went to gymnastics? Remember where you took your driving lessons? Everyone stays at Haskell. And so that's why we targeted, that's where we wanted to be. So we wanted a way to step up and give back locally, get more local attention too, that's why.
Well, it's a very simple, yet for some reason, many businesses don't see it that way. They're trying to figure out the way to put themselves in the spotlight. But so many times, if you create a platform for somebody else and shine the light on them, it has an amazing collaborative evolution, right? Yeah. Like you have their bit more awareness for whatever organization they are and what they do. And then also people realize that you are shining the light on them and with genuine intent with it. You're just saying, hey, look, we love this. This is great.
So it's rewarding for us too, in many ways. Andrew's joined the board of Blue Sky. And so he's really enjoyed that. As I said, I loved the whole bombas and apple yarns on one sheet of paper. That excited me. So there's a really big weekend, and I bet your mom knows about the LYS tour. It's when 26 yarn shops in between Seattle and the border. It's like an open house weekend. We give out free patterns. There's discounts on yarn and all this kind of stuff. So our nonprofit that month was, actually, I don't think they were our yarn profit that month. I happened to be talking to them on the phone. I love a good bake sale. There's just not enough of them anymore.
I miss bake sales.
Well, now third weekend of May, we will have an awesome bake sale. We raised $1,800 for Whatcom Hospice that weekend.
Wow. What did you bake?
I didn't bake any. I didn't have time.
But what was out there? We're talking like, croissants.
So when I was talking to, and I apologize, I don't know her name. When I was talking to her and I was like, I envision this bake sale. I'm going to have people going through the store from Seattle. They're going to be hungry. They're going to, you're our demographics. We want to give back and stuff. And I'm like, I go, reach out. I said, you guys buy food from vendors and stuff. And so they reached out to the different bakeries, and I apologize for not remembering who they are. But some of the, one of the convalescent type homes, they made cupcakes that looked like yarn balls and stuff. Cool. And so they really got into it. But we sold like $1,800 worth of bake sale. And it was a good bake sale. It was, some of their members did make things, and then some of them came from local businesses. It was awesome.
Yeah.
We're
that's
very
incredible.
proud of that.
Yeah. Well, it seems like everything that you set your mind to in your company, the people that you've surrounded yourself with, set your mind to, you make it happen. And it's not always a straight line, but
Well, it's not always positive either. We've got a few fails in there, but we try. I would say that's a big difference. We try every single day.
And trying is, I know it sounds, we've always been told, like, give it your best shot and try. And there's so many times that I see people just not try because of fear of something. But it sounds like you've been willing to try, and maybe tell me a little bit more about like some of the failures. Like, what are some of your favorite
I thought we'd be able
stories?
to sell jewelry.
Oh.
I thought, why would someone not buy jewelry from us? We know our demographics. We know you're coming in. Nope.
Yeah.
I thought for sure that would be
so
a great
you
site.
made jewelry?
No, I did not make jewelry.
But you were starting to like get your wheels turning on what?
Yeah, I brought in some necklaces and some. Nope, we didn't.
Just
sell
out
jewelry.
there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think I finally gave them gifts to my nieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did not
But
sell
it
jewelry.
didn't sound like that deterred you. Like, what was the next idea after that? Like, tell me about I'm gonna try this thing. This is for sure gonna work. Didn't work. You go, cool, back to yarn. Or like,
I think there's like so many of them. My head is spinning right now. Like, what one to select? I can do it better on a positive side. The things that have worked really well for us, our moves have worked really well for us.
Just the geographic moves.
Yeah. I mean, like, my mom thought we were crazy to go to Iowa Street. But when we look for a store, we look for lots of lighting and good parking. That's really important to me. And so we've always kind of followed that. And so the stores have always been positive. Especially Iowa Street. No one questions Haskell too much, but Iowa Street, they're like, oh, you made a mistake. I mean, the number of times I heard that, or Haskell, why? I'm like, have you seen my warehouse? I have a really cool warehouse, and I love my warehouse. So those are my real positives. Fails have been not doing enough on the internet, in all honesty. I mean, we should have done more.
Does it feel in flow, or does it feel like you're doing it because it's part of the survival mechanism?
Both.
Yeah.
It is part of survival.
Yeah.
A little bit of politics when your minimum wage is so high. Not that it's undeserving, but when we have to have an outside stream.
Does that, like, is there a certain like mark that you hit and then all of a sudden it flows really well, or is it something that's constantly needing to be maintained once you hit that mark?
The mark changes through time.
Fun.
The mark changes. We're really close to my next goal. And, of course, then I think that next goal, everything's going to be easy.
Yeah.
And there'll be other stuff that
different
comes
problems.
up. Yeah. But so we're really close to my next goal.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Can you share it, or do you want to wait? Or we can talk in another...
It's numbers, so I probably wouldn't share it. But as long as it works for Bellingham and for us, then it's positive.
I love that answer. That's perfect.
Yeah. It's just, I know the numbers.
I hope so at this point. You've been talking a big numbers game, but yeah.
But it took time to get there. I mean, that's not who I was 17 years ago. I was just trying to make a cute store. now there's people who depend upon us, and I always go back to the mortgages because that's the easiest way, but there's people who depend upon us, and that's really important. I'd be crushed if any of my team members left.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go back and tell them that now too, just in case. I mean, I know they
Just
know.
want to remind you guys,
I know they know. We're taking them to Whistler this weekend.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, sorry, we're not going to Whistler.
We have a retreat. So I guess when I said, there's something I'm missing, we do retreats a couple times a year, and we take knitters and we go fun places. And we're going to Whistler on Friday morning.
Fun.
Yeah.
Is it ski season yet, or
no? It's knitting season. Sit in front of a fire and just knit and crochet.
Oh, you go. Well, everyone else is out there braving the slopes. You're watching them brave the slopes.
It's also cheaper this time of year, so it's easier to do a retreat that time.
Back to the numbers. I love it.
Sorry. We've been to Cannon Beach. That was a big trip. That was last spring. One of the more popular ones is getting on the train in Seattle and going all the way to Whitefish, Montana, and just sitting and knitting the whole time.
Sitting and knitting.
It's really fun. Yeah.
Well, I know
really
maybe two people here that might be
it's a great trip.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it. 4:00 train out of Seattle. You end up in Whitefish, Montana at 9 a.m.
Wow.
8 to 9 a.m.
And you don't sleep. You just knit.
Well, I try and sleep.
Try and sleep. Are you like knitting in your sleep? Is that?
If I could, I would.
Yeah. Get more done that way.
Yeah, I know.
You really.
Luckily, my husband likes to drive, and I can sit on road trips and just knit.
Well, that's nice. Well, on that note,
yes.
You're working with your husband. You're in business partnership. What is that like?
He's a really, really good guy.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's a really, really good guy.
You're not just saying that, right?
No, I'm not. In our young dating life, we never would have guessed all of this. Never. I don't think honestly, I've been married 32 years. We never would have guessed 32. We didn't understand what 32 years was. It just ended up that we've always worked together. It was nothing that we set out to do. We like each other's company. I mean, he's a really nice guy. I'd like to think I'm nice. I don't know. We just do. We have a crazy dog. We love immensely.
Is it a Springer?
No, it's a Golden Retriever.
Oh, same group there. Yeah. Yeah. Nutto. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, a big part of it is that you have your personal life and you have your business life, and it sounds like probably for you guys, it's very much meshed together. But how do you find time to unplug? What's that?
We go play pickleball.
Oh.
Want to see my pickleball hat I just designed?
Yes, absolutely. She came prepared. I love this.
You told me I could bring samples.
You absolutely could.
Okay, there's my pickleball hat, brand new.
Ooh.
Isn't that cool? We have the best pickleball community in Bellingham. Join Pickleball, Bellingham Pickleball. Here's
Can I put it on?
hat. Sure. Here's my fall hat I just did.
Oh, wow.
So isn't that cool?
Is that meant for a big head like me?
Yeah, because I did it for me.
Oh,
and I have a big head.
That's so comfortable. What kind of wool is this?
100% merino.
Well, no wonder. Feels like it when it was on my feet.
Yeah.
This is really nice.
Thank you. I'm really excited about
this
that.
one.
Yeah, I designed that.
Very nice. Well, cool. And you have a couple. These are all the pickleball hats here.
I've only done one pickleball
I see the pickleball paddle.
And these
oh
are
my God, I'm
designed
so
by Nancy
unobservant.
Bates, and this is my favorite kind of knitting. I like color work. I can do other stuff, but this is my favorite stuff.
Wow, that's so soft.
So
wow.
Yeah, so this is all the same yard. So we kit these. So that's another part. That's another part of what we do, is we kit stuff up to make it easy. Grab and go.
Nice catch.
There's another one.
Coop.
Oh.
Blooper reel.
Yeah. So that's like my fun. That to me, that's fun.
So, okay. So pickleball.
Yes.
When did you start playing pickleball?
Last year.
Are you playing at the Armory?
No.
Or just outside?
I wish. I play outside.
Nice.
Or Bellingham Pickleball Club. Plug. Last year at DSW, they had 3 courts in there.
Oh.
Yeah. So you had to pay a little bit extra for that, but you could play inside.
Yeah, when it gets a little chilly out. And,
yeah.
Are you wearing full merino wool when you're playing a full tracksuit of merino wool?
I wear whatever's clean. So if I'm busy, I wear whatever's clean. It's just my paddle's always in the car.
Yeah. Gotta have it on hand.
Have it on hand.
So you work together and you work well together and you really like each other.
Some days are better than others, but yes.
Well, yeah, of course. Some days are better than others. And it's something really important that we talk a little bit about in the show, like about people that what it's like to be running a business with your partner or with not, but also in partnership outside of them being kind of those different worlds, but those being connected. What is that like to say that you love somebody and also like them?
This is going to sound really mushy, and I don't mean to. Andrew's a really good guy, so it's easy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got integrity. He's a good guy. He's just a good guy. I mean, that's it. I mean, so that's easy.
Yeah. And what are his like main roles?
So I do like titles. So I consider myself CEO because I'm like the creative person kind of jumping from one thing to the other. And he's more like COO.
He's like operations guy.
Yeah, he kind of like keeps us all, not flat, but he just keeps us all settled, So yeah, I'm more the settle down a little, and he's more, okay, we got this.
And you said, okay, I want to go back to the 3 kids thing. And when you talked about the Goldman Sachs 10K business SB, you have 3 kids. You've talked about you already have this exit plan in mind and how you want this to look. What do you see as something that you'd like to pass along to your kids as far as and to your employees? If there's anything that you can help like instill in all of them.
Could I say something I wish?
Absolutely.
I wish they wanted to be entrepreneurs. And they're just like, no way. They're like, no way. I mean, that might change someday. But yeah, I wish I could say they had that joy. Because I remember growing up thinking, oh, this is cool. My family owns a lumber hardware store. And yeah, I don't think we pass that on to our kids at all.
Yeah. How do you, but like there's good in both worlds.
Oh, absolutely. No, I'm proud of them. Don't get me wrong.
Like the ability to unplug, that sounds pretty nice every once in a while.
Yeah, no, they do their things and they're good at what they're doing. And they all live in destinations where it's like Bellingham in the respect that it's a cool place to be. And they love coming home, but they live for, I don't know what that saying is. They don't live for the work, they live for the play. That's I'm screwing that up. But whatever that saying is, my kids are really good at that. And I figure they got that from us, but they don't want to be entrepreneurs.
So do you feel like, and let's get a little vulnerable here, it's a hard word to say.
Sure.
Do you think that's because they, like you saw your parents and you go, yeah, nice, this looks awesome. Do you think they saw you both in this world and going, they don't sleep. They don't stop. They just keep going. Do you think that's an element to it?
I think that's part of it. And then we also, it's different than when I was growing up with, my family having a hardware store. You didn't have phones, on your hip side. You didn't have a lot of different stuff. Now we're always connected. So like one of the things Andrea and I do, and people probably think this is silly, we'll go to Leavenworth for the night. Or for some reason, I just found out, what's the place outside of Sun Valley is only a 3-hour drive. Because we just have to escape. We have to either escape the house or the business. And that's what we do.
Winthrop?
Yeah, Winthrop.
Yeah.
I thought it was 5 hours away.
No.
I mean, I've been to Winthrop.
Well, the pass closes once a year.
I know.
But
so
when
I've
it's
been
open.
to Winthrop, but Leavenworth is we just need a night away from all of this. So we probably didn't do enough of that when they were younger because your phones are always on you. You've got your computer and my laptops. That's small business now.
Yeah. And it's constantly accessible, constantly pulling your attention. So you talked about pickleball. You talked about your unplug. Are there going to Leavenworth for the night? What else do you do to balance that out?
I like to knit.
This is so cool that what you're doing is what,
Andrea goes out of town. Let me see. It's popcorn for dinner that night. I will sit and knit all day. And I will specifically, you guys are laughing, but it's the truth. I will watch a Hallmark movie when it's off. I then do 15, 20 minutes of housework because something's probably got to be done. And I'll come back and sit down for 2 more hours and just knit. And that's it. And I like my friends and my family. I'm very lucky that way.
Do most of your friends and family knit too? Are they hooked?
My families do. Yeah. My family does. Not so much my friends. I mean, they do. They try.
Yeah. That's nice of you to say. They try. Yeah. They give it their best shot.
Yeah.
It might be if I used to crochet because my mom on the airplane, she was a knitter and she'd go, all right, we have a 4-hour delay on the tarmac. Here you go. Here's how you do this. Just keep going and don't talk.
Yeah.
Not don't talk, but we can talk, but just don't run around the airplane.
Right.
And I once had one that was probably 40 feet long. I was just sitting there going, yeah.
There's nothing better than, so this happened to my son. There's nothing better than an 8-year-old either knitting or crocheting on an airplane because you can hear it. My son Roy was knitting an orange cap and you could hear this kind of mumble getting closer and closer and then they're peeking over. Yeah.
It's just going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one fun fact that I learned, and maybe fact check me, please.
Sure.
But it was from Tiffany GP Tiffany. But it was about the fact that, so knitting can be recreated by a machine, but crocheting cannot.
Absolutely true.
So because you need a hand, it's one hand, one hook, right?
That's crochet. And
Yeah.
I don't really understand the whole machinery behind it, but that's the same story I've heard.
So like we've gone to the moon hypothetically, right? Maybe it didn't happen. We don't know.
That's a whole other episode.
That's a whole other episode. Yeah, Mars, whatever. No, but like that seems pretty wild that hasn't been able to be recreated, and it just goes to show how cool humans are.
Yeah.
And there's so much that we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's always changing.
Yeah.
It's always changing. I mean, these designers are coming up with new patterns and new techniques, and it's just fun. It's just lots of fun.
Yeah. So we talked about your exit plan. We've talked about the ramp up to this point. What are some of the things that you're excited about going forward in the future with your company and your people, your amazing people, family?
Amazing people. Family. Boy, that's such like a big.
Sorry, I kind of dumped that one on you.
I want my kids to come home for my birthday, just in case they see this. That's my goal. We're probably in our forever place. We're really happy where we are, so I would say we're in our forever place. The biggest thing that we could do is just keep our team, and when we do expand and grow, is keep that same kind of team member. I get compliments every day on our team. Someone will go, "Oh, Christiane, oh my gosh, I'm like, yeah, she is." And then so is Jessica, Eliana. I mean, they're all good.
Yeah.
They're a pleasure to be around, and I'm really, really proud of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's the most important thing.
It's the most important.
Doesn't matter what you do.
Nope.
People. Good people.
Yeah.
People that make it enjoyable.
Yeah.
People that are not yes people. Not having yes people is important.
Yeah. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
You're done already. I'm slow.
It's been a long day at work here today, so I just knocked that one back. But no, just a nice little sip.
It's nice. It's good.
Yeah.
I agree.
You go any more than a sip, it's kind of like, ooh, alcohol. Ooh.
It's good.
No, this is delicious. So, yeah, do you like it?
I do,
Yeah.
very much so.
Do you think would you mix it with pressed apple? Or do you think it would need to be Fireball?
I just told my secret.
Oh, no.
I have a bottle of Fireball in the refrigerator, and I had no idea what Fireball was 3 weeks ago, but I bought it. Would I drink it? Yeah. You get the fire pit going. Yeah, you get the fire pit going. Dog jumping all around. Oh, yeah.
Oh, you can even put it in a hat and then have a straw, and then you don't have to stop knitting.
It's not as good then. You've already discussed it's sipping.
Oh, yeah, that would take a little bit of the elements out of there. So, well, yeah, I think what you're doing is amazing, and it's been so cool to hear more about knitted knockers, knitted knockers, and also all of the subscription growth. Even though it was not always what you wanted to do, you knew you needed to do it, and it was. It's
just modern retail. It's just like doing the Facebook Lives. You have to change.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
and
it.
Teaching, even though you end up getting on live and not necessarily wanting to teach.
I teach one time a year, and it was just announced this morning. I teach people the fun Christmas stuff. Like, as I said, I like to be the cheerleader behind Apple Yarns. I don't like to be the person, and I've got a fair amount of knitting skills behind me, but I don't want to be the person that gives you that deep lesson. Not that knitting is ever too deep, but I want to be the fun person. I want to be the grandma. Oh my gosh, I want to be the grandma of knitting.
Yeah.
That sounded bad. I want to be the person you want to hang out with because they're just having fun at what they're doing. They so we're knitting little sweater garlands. Only about that big. And so, they're so cute. And the yarn comes with it too. And so that you can make these garlands. And sometimes I do stuff in the store because I told myself a year ago I would knit my kids' sweater garlands. I haven't started one.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of like a diet. You have to, tell other people so you do it. So that's why I do it with the store.
Manifest it a little bit.
Yeah.
So you've been procrastinating on knitting
my kids' things.
By knitting?
Yeah.
That's interesting. It's almost like a slippery slope of
it is a slippery
knitting.
slope.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you're way down the rabbit hole, and
I'm deep down the rabbit
it's so
hole.
cool to see what you do.
Thank you.
I think the last thing that I would love to pass along to our listeners is like what would, if you're talking to somebody that is wanting to be an entrepreneur or start a business and has a passion, what would you pass along to them as far as like, this is what has helped me become who I am today and what I do?
Well, I think if you can get into Goldman Sachs, you do it.
Yeah.
That's an impressive impressive program, and it's all free. That's huge. And don't wait 15 years to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And don't like, I wish we had started, I guess we opened a retail store and I'm like, I know what I'm doing. I worked for Nordstrom's. I worked for Neiman Marcus. My family owned a hardware store. Reach out to your small business association, reach out to retailers you like. I love talking to other retailers, so I do that sometimes. Just like get more advice,
Yeah.
get more, be more learned.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you.
This is episode 2, officially. Of 6. We did it.
We did it.
Andrea, thank you so much for sharing your story.
That was fun.
This cheers. Boom.
Thank you.